Hello and welcome back to the World Class Battle League channel. We are here for, I believe, the last Evergrande interview with PokePrimer and the coach of the Primarinas.
What up?
Yo. Alright. So, you were our placement last season, right? If I remember correctly. And then I'm pretty sure I beat you because of the miss, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Greninja not wearing the right glasses.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
It happens at times.
Man, I'm hyped for our battle in season 3 though.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a good match. So hopping straight into the first question, how long have you been playing Draft League format?
I joined my first one, I believe my senior year of high school about 4 years ago. Right. Just kind of on a whim, I saw like somebody was advertising it in a Facebook group, and I was like, yeah, screw it, why not? And ever since, it's been pretty constant. I don't think I've had anywhere longer than maybe a few weeks period where I wasn't a part of a draft league at some point.
I remember when I started, between my first and second one, it was a year.
That's quite the off period. I'm always looking for them, especially ever since I got Discord. Now I'm literally hopping all over the place and joining new draft leagues pretty much on a regular basis.
Yeah, Discord definitely made it easier to find draft leagues because when I was using Skype, I had to like find draft leagues through friends on just like, yo, you got a draft league for me to join?
Yeah, for real. Saying a lot of the old draft leagues I was in ran through Skype, and it was easy at the time, but Discord makes it 10 times easier to branch out.
Because you don't have to make like, yeah, definitely. And with Discord's like multiple channels, you don't have to make a whole nother group chat for like the draft and transactions, which makes it a whole lot easier. How have you usually placed in leagues you've been in?
Pretty much every league I've been in, for the most part, I've made playoffs. I think the only cases where I haven't were leagues that I joined mid-season, where like the team was already in a bad state. I know there was one that I joined a little while ago where the team I was picking up was already, I think, either 0-5 or 0-6.
Damn.
So, and the draft was really, really bad. There was no synergy to it whatsoever. It was poorly put together in every sense of the word, and I had to use pretty much every free agent transaction available to fix it up a little bit, but even still, it wasn't that great. I was able to end out the season with a fairly decent record. I think I ended up the season, it was either 5-7 or something with the team, but it was just shy of making playoffs.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think like the draft is like a value, a really good part of how you do. So I remember,
oh yeah, for sure.
I remember I was in a 24-person league and my draft was garbage. And I was just like, I hate this concept, and I quit after week 1 because I was just like, no.
Yeah, I totally get that because in a lot larger leagues, and I think this hurts people after a while because a lot of leagues just want to keep expanding and expanding. And they're like, oh, we had 16 teams, let's go up to 24, and they don't realize how that could really affect a lot of the coaches and the performance, because at the end of the day, with 16 coaches, you're still going to get sniped a bunch. You're still going to end up with a lot of good mons gone before you even get a chance to pick, and add another 8 teams, and you're reaching a point where everyone's going to be struggling and drafting stuff from the very, very bottom of the barrel just to fill roles.
If I remember correctly, I had Mega Garchomp and Lando Eye with Sand, and my fairy type was Mr. Mime.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was really bad. I think I had Aggron as my steel type. I had Xurkitree. It was just a whole bunch of like ratchet shit that didn't work together. But that's why we did divisions, because multiple people wanted to join, and it was just easier doing 10 and 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way that that's set up. I've been in a lot of larger leagues that have done that before. I was actually a part of Duncan Knee Deep's subscriber draft tournament, that they ran through his Discord server, and they had the initial bracket was to split. I think they had like 40 people join, and they ended up splitting everyone into groups of 10, and then splitting it back up again into smaller groups that you just play through once to earn your way into the final bracket. And it was actually really, really well done.
What's your favorite playstyle and why?
Personally, I like to try to consider myself as a flex player. I can play what I need to when necessary, but for the most part, I think I branch out more towards bulky offense. I like the idea of just having something that can definitely take a hit and then hit back just as hard. It's like some of my favorite mons that I know I've drafted in League format have been things like Garchomp, who can definitely be built bulky enough to do plenty of things. Mega Blastoise has been a staple on a lot of my teams because it's just so good at everything that it does. Pokemon like that can bulk their way through a match while still doing a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favorite Pokemon and why? So casually and competitively.
Casually, my favorite Pokemon's always been Primeape. I don't know what it was, just from the original days back when I was a kid watching the anime, and whenever Primeape was introduced, I just thought he was such a cool design. I thought it was really funny looking, and then as I got older and started caring about more things, reading into dex entries and stuff, I thought all those dex entries were so savage and like powerful, and he seemed like such an awesome mon overall. So I've always kind of like attached myself to Primeape. That's kind of where I got the name from, and everything that I like, my screen name that I go by for pretty much everything. So that's the casual wise. Competitively, and for me, it was just because I was a big low tier guy, and I've used him in a lot of leagues before. But I've always loved using Seismitoad. I always find it's a very, very solid water ground. You can fit really well on a lot of teams. Its balanced offensive stats allow you to pretty much run either a physical or special move, or even sometimes both, depending on how you build it. So you have ways of hitting both sides, as well as being able to bulk out most hits and stall things out, as on top of being a very reliable, overall decent hazard setter.
Yeah, I remember we moved Seismitoad up to tier 3 in season 2, and then then we were just like, why did we do this? So we moved it back down.
Hey, I mean, if I get a chance to draft it, and if I see it fitting properly, you might just see Seismitoad on my squad.
Get it round 1, you won't.
I will. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
What is your favorite type?
My favorite type has actually always been fighting type. I actually ran a fighting type gym in a Facebook group a long time ago, and was one of the longer standing members there. I feel like the only issue with fighting type is it's harder to build around on especially the offensive side, but at the same time, if you build the team properly, you will have strong enough mons to break through any physical wall that they put in front of you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A thing with some of the ridiculous threats like Mega Lopunny, who has no real true switch-ins except for really bulky psychics, and at the end of the day you have mons like Conk or Pangoro or Scrafty that have more powerful knockoffs that could break through those bulky psychic types that give you issues. And I think it's just a very diverse type to build around.
I remember in the role-playing chat I used to be in like the role-playing chat in the Showdown, and they do like Conquest, and I always chose fighting type. I had fighting type is actually like really good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the mons are really, really cool design as well. A lot of epic designs. Plus, you have all the firefighting starters that are really cool. I mean, Blaziken's pretty legit. Emboar is cool looking, and you gotta love Infernape too.
Infernape is really great. I'm surprised they didn't make Incineroar a firefighting type.
I was too. When I first saw the leaked design and stuff, I thought it was very interesting that it was going to go with Fire Dark. But as a professional wrestling fan myself, and when I saw like his dex entry and his description being referred to as the heal Pokemon, which is a term for a a kind of bad guy character in wrestling, it started to make a lot more sense. I thought it was really, really interesting and well thought out once I learned more about it.
Yeah. What was your favorite generation?
For me, the first generation I played was actually Gen 2. When I was younger, I got out of kindergarten. My parents bought me a Game Boy Advance, and they bought me used copies of the first 2 generations. And the first one that I remember popping in was Pokemon Gold, and I ended up never restarting that copy of Gold because it had like 2 Ho-Ohs on it, Celebi, like it had some ridiculous, like all level 100 Mons just sitting there all chilling. I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. So I think I still actually have that copy of Gold sitting somewhere, and that memory kind of stuck with me.
Yo, pop open that game and try to get those Mons into the Gen 7.
Oh, I've tried everything I can. I've looked through every option. I'm still seeing if there's a possibility, but unfortunately, I probably won't get that lucky.
I remember me and my brother had Game Boy Advances, and I'm pretty sure we had, I think one of us had like blue, and I don't know where that shit went. But I still do have like an old Game Boy, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love pulling out my old Game Boy Advance every now and then and just messing around with it. It doesn't hold battery power that well anymore, but you know what? It's fine. It's still fun to look at the classics.
None of them work. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance and I think a Game Boy Color. Where this square thing is. No, I actually had 2 Advances. But what do you think is essential to Draft League success?
I think it boils down to 2 things. One is knowing how to draft, and yeah, I think that's like really huge, because if you're drafting poorly, no matter how good you are play wise, you're always going to struggle. So you have to know, what all you need, what you might have to prioritize more based upon what you've drafted so far, and how to draft as smart as you can to get the best team possible. I think that's extremely important, but also definitely just practice with it. Practice and learning, and as much as you can. I mean, I watch pretty much every competitive draft league on YouTube, and I'm always in draft leagues, constantly just, looking into different potential set options, trying to learn as much as you can about each Mon that you take on, so that maybe you can try them out for yourself in the future, and just continuously working at it over time.
Yeah, definitely drafting is like a good thing. Because if you don't have a good draft, then you're not going to perform well. Even despite having like the best player.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see, in leagues like the GBA, like everyone knows how good Joey Pokemon is, but his draft is subpar for this season, and it's already showing some of its weaknesses in this most recent week that he had against Cybertron, and it showed that his team definitely has plenty of weaknesses that he. He drafted a memeier team to mess around, but still, it showed that no matter how good you are in singles, because he's been playing singles way longer and more consistently than Cybertron did, but Cybertron still pulled out the win, simply just because the team just wasn't up to par.
Yeah. Next, what do you like better, Megas or Z moves?
Personally, I loved the idea of Mega Evolution. I thought that it was cool to go back to some of the previous generations, bring back some people's old favorites, and give them kind of a new light, something new to make them better. Bring boosting up a lot of classic Mons that maybe have fallen by the wayside, either competitively or just overall in general, that people didn't think about as much anymore. Even things like Audino got better by getting added with the fairy typing. Beedrill with the extra speed and adaptability. Mons no one would ever use if they had the choice, but now people were given a reason to. I personally, when it came to Z moves, I feel like it took a lot of. It added a definite level boost to competitive because you had to always be prepared for them, but at the same time, it takes a lot away because you got the ability to just tech a certain Z move on to completely blow away something that was normally a counter to you, and that now it can't touch you. And it just seems a lot extra, and there's so much you can do with it. It changed the meta, I think, way too much.
Yeah, it made broken shit even more broken, like Lando T, Mana T,
exactly
those things. You might want to open up the tier sheet for this next one, because what do you think is a Steel Pokemon on our tiers and why?
Steel, as in like something that
something that should probably be in a higher tier, or something that always performs well in that tier.
All right. I would say I've always seen Blastoise as one of the better spinners in the game. So Blastoise sitting in tier 4, definitely. It's if you still need a spinner and you haven't actually grabbed your water type by the time you're looking into tier 4, Blastoise should be an immediate go-to, because it always performs solidly no matter what you do with it. It's gonna work pretty much every week. Another one as well, Dusknoir down in tier 5. I personally myself have used Dusknoir on many occasions in draft leagues to massive amounts of success. Its bulk is insane, even without the Eviolite that Dusclops gets, and I think that in the right hands, Dusknoir can be probably one of the most problematic bulky ghost types you can ever face in league format.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I used it in a league I used to run, which was in the International Pokemon Competitive Cup or whatever, IPCC, and it actually did pretty good. I had to use it to counter Scolipede.
Hey, it works. It gets the job done. I mean, there's also instances where I've had it on teams where, by not bringing it, it screwed my whole strategy up. I know there was one time I had it in a league where my opponent had Licky Licky on his team, and I decided not to bring it because of some reason, and the Licky Licky didn't have any move that could have touched Dusknoir, and I could have easily brought a taunting set that could have 100% beaten it 1v1 in any situation.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember going to, like, not bringing a Pokemon and, like, utterly ruining you. I had to fight a Zero Aura in MLBA Week 1. And I almost brought my Wooper, but I was just like, nah, it's not going to do anything in this game. Zero Aura proceeds to fist me. And he didn't run any, like, grass coverage or anything for Wooper.
Yeah, that's the big thing when it comes to prep. There's always going to be something that you're going to overlook at some point, and then once you get in the game, it's like, ugh, if only.
Yeah.
But that's another part of the learning process.
It's just what ifs.
Yeah.
What was your favorite unconventional set you've used before?
Favorite unconventional set? Ooh. I remember it was definitely it was more so a meme set, but it ended up working really well. I brought a Choice Specs Machamp against somebody. It was in the last week of the season. I was already guaranteed playoffs, and all the things that they had on their team that would typically wall Machamp or that could eat fighting type moves were all on more physically defensive. and I knew they would bring them in a more physically defensive way. So bringing the choice spec set kind of really threw him off. And the moment he got hit by a focus blast and it did well over half, he was like, "Oh shit, I might be screwed." And every time that thing came in, it was able to either pick up a kill or take a massive chunk out of something that would try to switch in on it. And there's it I think it ended up picking 2 kills in that game and was extremely instrumental in picking up the win.
Jeez. Yeah, meme sets are always like the funnest thing ever. I remember I ran Dual Dance Registeel.
That's gorgeous.
Like the closest thing I could get, which was it was Rock Polish Hone Claws. And it was such a meme, although it didn't do anything in the match.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. There have been too many times where I've had sets just sitting on the bench in a match where they just didn't have a chance to get into the battle, and it's like, oh well, this would have been cool if I could have used it.
Yeah. It's stuff like that. Like, I like making fun sets.
Yeah, same.
Do you prefer to have a plan for a draft or just wing it?
For me, I actually prefer to just wing it, because every single time I've ever made a plan for a draft, even if it's having like 2 or 3 potential picks for each round, I always get sniped every single time. There is never a time where I've been able to get everything on a plan for a draft once, and it's hurt me more times than I can count. So after a while, I just kind of said, screw it, and I've gone into each draft and just wung it, and I've been able to draft some pretty ridiculously good teams from it, because I think it works better that way, just because if you know whatever you get as your first pick, then you can look at the rest of it and see, all right, what do I need to build off of this with? What do I need what mons can support this? And you can wait till it's your turn, and you can look at what's available and be able to pick the best possible option for your team at the time.
Yeah, definitely. I remember, like, I've had so many drafts where it was just like, I have this set plan, and then I start looking at other people draft, and they have like Zygarde, Volcarona, Burke, and shit like that, and I'm just like, well, I fucked up. Like, in MLBA, I was so bent on getting Bulutran that someone got, like, Protean Greninja, Mega Metagross with D-Knight and all this shit. I was just like, well...
Yeah, I've seen that happen plenty of times as well. It's just, you get set around one idea, and then everyone else drafts ridiculously amazing things around you, and you're just like, oh, well, I might be screwed. Guess I'm gonna lose. Great.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, that Mega Metagross team was beaten by Wooper.
That was glorious. That was probably one of the most glorious battles I've ever watched, and I don't think I'll ever see anything as entertaining again in the rest of my life.
I'm so sad that I actually had to drop Wooper, though, because I needed a Manaphy. And I was 1 point short, so I was just like, well, sorry, Wooper.
The pain of it.
The Mega Metagross guy actually picked it up, too. That's the sad part.
Oh, he's like, no, I'm never getting beat by this thing again. No one else is allowed to have it. I need it now.
Yeah. So, last couple of questions. How did you enjoy your Season 2 draft?
I mean, it wasn't my favorite. I think it could have been a lot better, but I did the best I could with what I got. You know, I wanted to try to make the team work the best of my ability. When it came to the draft that I got when I came in, I thought there were some mons on it that were really interesting. I know Greninja was really solid. Always put in a lot of work for me. I'm trying to remember some of the other mons that I had on the team.
If I remember correctly, I think you had a Primeape. That's like, no, you had a Pangoro, which like destroyed
Pangoro.
You destroyed my team with that thing.
Yeah, Pangoro was one of probably my favorite mons they had. I had a Alolan Raichu. I remember sets to bring because I was able to. I forget who I was playing against. I think it was. I think it was Nada. I think I think it was the first time that I played Nada before playoffs, and I brought in um, electric terrain, HP fire, Stoke Spark Surfer, Alolan Raichu, and it actually ended up working. I was able to HP fire the Fortress, break it down, and then I was able to Stoke Spark Surfer. I think it was the Superior, and get that guaranteed para on it before Alolan Raichu went down, and it was really, really good.
I'm pretty sure you had like Suicune and Amoonguss.
I'm trying to pull up some of the old replays. Yeah, Suicune, Amoonguss. I had Scizor.
Mega Altaria, if I remember.
Mega Altaria was there. Nidoking.
Yeah.
Pangoro.
I'm just trying to remember what you had for my prep for you.
I have Uxie on my team.
Oh yeah, Uxie. I don't remember any of those.
Can't think of any others. Trying to pulling up as many as I can. I had Skarmory on my team. Skarmory was there as well.
Oh yeah, Skyrim. Oh yeah, the Skyrim, because I brought Z Thunder Gengar for it.
Yeah. Solid prep. I love that. Gotta appreciate it. It's an overall really solid team for the most part, but definitely had a few flaws. I'm not a huge fan of having overlapping typings, or at least try to avoid overlap typings as much as I can.
Yeah. I mean, overlapping typings aren't the worst if like
it's not the worst if they fill different roles. I mean, I have a team,
and if they're like
right
not
now,
weak to the same
Mesprit
thing.
and Cress on it. I think it's Mesprit and Cress are both there, but like both can do different things. You know, 1 week I can bring, even if I bring both, I can have Cress as a setup, for late game, and then I can use Mesprit to be that bulky psychic that I need to wall certain things and stuff like that.
I remember in Season 1 I had Mega Altaria Granbull.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Ooh, that just sounds good.
My Season 1 team was really good. I almost made finals, but I choked, so...
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, I choked versus Teeny because I forgot, like, it never... Like, I totally forgot he was Scarf Cry and all that, so... Last question. Who do you think is going to be Evergrande champion, Indigo champion, and who do you think is going to win?
Out of Evergrande, I mean, obviously, I kind of want to say myself because that's my goal, is to get there. But if there's anyone else in Evergrande that I think has the potential, Kahlua is very, very solid. I've seen him play, and he's just really, really good. So he could definitely be a huge, huge threat. Obviously, you're a very solid battler yourself, so you're going to be some serious competition.
Yeah.
So I think for Evergrande, I think it's going to come down between the 3 of us as possible top contenders.
So you're ruling out Antoine?
I didn't realize he was in there. Oh, that's my bad. Let me pull up. I can actually pull up the divisions. Let me take a look at that on the document so that I don't sound foolish. Let's see here. Aha. Yeah, so out of Evergrande, yeah, and Antoine's definitely up there as well. So I'd have to say if I had to pick 4 from Evergrande as like the top potential, I'd say maybe you, me, Kahlua, and Antoine, with A-Guy as kind of like a sleeper pick as well. Because I think I've seen A-Guy battle a bunch of times, and he's very, very solid.
A-Guy is not bad. I mean,
No.
he's made it to a finals before.
Yeah, so he's definitely very good. So he's definitely like I wouldn't say a dark horse because it's kind of implying that he's not that great and you may not expect it, but he can pull it. He can pull it out if he wants to.
Yeah.
Indigo Spectrum stands out for me. CB Spectrum, Nada obviously stands out, and out of the people that I can remember battling, I think I've seen Teeny battle enough times that I can see that he could be a top potential as well.
Yeah.
So that could be options. Overall champion. It's hard to say pre-draft, but I could see. I could see Spectrum taking it. I would like to take it myself. I would like to make it there, but shit happens. Might not, but I would say maybe Spectrum could pull it. I could see Spectrum pulling it for the season.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, TNA got into season 1 and never dropped a single game.
Yikes.
So yeah, which was crazy. So thank you for joining me for this interview. I hope you have a great season.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yeah. When do we fight? I forget.
We face off. Week 6.
Ooh, gotta wait that long.
Oh, it's gonna be a rough wait, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for the last interview, which is Teeny. Peace.